But the real problem is that our leaders are dumb. Dumb. So dumb.
There was no response. They didn't have one for that. Now it's very sad. Very sad. I went in yesterday and there was a television screen and I said, this is genius.
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Every day it is time for us to agree.
I went in yesterday and there was a television screen and I said, this is genius.
But the real problem is that our leaders are dumb. Dumb. So dumb.
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
But the real
Every day
problem
it
is
is
that
time
our
for us
leaders
to
are dumb.
Agree. It is time for us to
So dumb.
That isn't what it meant.
Well, what did it mean now? Explain.
It meant that it's indicative of low-resolution thinking.
No good.
No good.
I went in yesterday and there was a television screen and I said, this is genius.
It's not that they don't want to help. They don't know quite what to do. Play the radio. Make sure the television.
But the real problem is that our leaders are dumb.
Make sure the kids hear the word. A kid coming from a very
So dumb. But the real problem is that our leaders are dumb.
And Corn Pop was a bad dude. And he ran a bunch of bad boys. And I did. And back in those days, you sure how things had changed. One of the things you had to use, if you used pomade in your hair, you had to wear a baby cap.
So dumb.
And so he was up on the board, wouldn't listen. I said, hey,
real problem is that our leaders are dumb.
I'll come up and drag you off.
Go Brandon, I'll agree. Go Brandon, I'll agree. Go Brandon, I'll agree.
But the real problem is that our leaders are dumb.
I parked my car outside the gate. And he said, I'll be waiting
so
for
dumb.
you. He's waiting for his 3 guys in straight race.
The real problem is that our leaders are
There's
dumb.
a guy named Bill Wright now.
Dumb.
The only white guy.
Our
He did
leaders
all
are
the
dumb.
rules.
Our
He was
leaders are
mechanic.
dumb. Our
And I said,
leaders
what am I
are
gonna do?
dumb.
He said, come down here in the basement
Dumb.
where mechanics.
So dumb.
Dumb people, liberal people, dumb people, liberal people,
cut off the
dumb people, liberal people,
you walk out.
dumb people, liberal people,
And you walk
dumb people, liberal people,
man, but I'm gonna wrap
dumb
this chain
people,
around your
liberal
head.
people.
But
I said, you kidding me?
the real problem
He
is
said,
that
no,
our
you
leaders
don't
are
come back.
dumb.
He was right. So I
Dumb.
walked out with a chain.
So dumb.
I went in yesterday and there was a television screen, and I said, this is genius.
Unbelievable.
I admit to always improving.
I went in yesterday and there was a television screen, and I said, this is genius.
Hello, users, and welcome to another episodic installation of the program. This is Above It All, episode 1485. Y'all, folks, don't know what to tell you. I got a show going on. Doing a show. I got like some spittle on my monitor. It's like on my face on the display. Brandom eats dead bats. That's cool. Let's go, Brandom. Let's go, Brandom. I agree. Folks, I've got a program today. Today there's going to be a program. Today, in addition to the Above It All live show. And so I will be doing, like I said, I've been, this is a thing I talk about. So I'm doing a Doom stream in 2 hours. Well, actually, it's in more than 2 hours, but it rounds, and in 2 hours and 45 minutes, I will be doing a Doom stream. The last day of the month is today, and so I will be doing a top 10 Doom runs of February that I uploaded this month. It should last around 45 minutes to an hour. So tune in if you like Doom, if you like video games. So that should be fun. I need to drink coffee. I am not in yet. I'm not in yet, folks. So please bear with me. I'm having a slow start. Are we drinking elephants of coffee or chewing military-grade energy bubble military-grade energy bubble gum. Oh, I'm enjoying your presence, Farman Stalsvals. Maybe I'll eventually figure out how to pronounce your name, but your comments are great. Never leave. Doing a show here today. Seek the Lord is trending in the United States. Folks, seek the Lord. Christians pray from. We got Christians and they're praying. Seek the Lord is trending on Twitter. God is compassionate to the humble. Seek the Lord while he may be found. Call on him while he is near. Let the wicked forsake. Oh, what the hell is this shit? So seek the Lord is trending. I love this is like the Twitter guy. Like someone works at Twitter and their job is to like caption the trends. And they wrote, this is their caption for this. Christians pray from Isaiah 55-6. Like that's someone's job was to write that. Like, oh, seek the Lord. I guess the Christians are praying again. Oh, the Christians, they're seeking the Lord once again. Let me just write that in there. Smia, you can buy Meg, M-E-G, gum online. It is 100 milligrams of caffeine per gum, but you can like just cut it in half if you only do, So, got some military grade energy gum. Drinking elephants of coffee. That's right, folks. We're drinking elephants on this program. Well, I mean, Bodan is one of the reasons why I'm doing the daily Doom streams videos to begin with. So, I started doing that obviously before Bodan's country was invaded. This one's regularly scheduled. But either way, hopefully Bodan can make it. But I know he watches Divide, so it's all good. Seek the Lord. We're gonna seek the fucking Lord. Folks, imagine being a Christian in the year 2022. I'm gonna ramble here. Folks, so I'm not gonna have anything on screen here, for this segment, but I want to have like a little bit of a conversation about, some of the social media stuff going on in regards to the invasion of Ukraine by Russian forces at the behest of Vladimir Putin. And his, he died in, Civilization 7 or whatever the new one is. He died in that game, and then he's like, well, fuck, now I'm going to do it in real life. But anyway, so there's an invasion going on, and one thing I want to talk about here, and I could have, a PowerPoint presentation up during this, but I'm just shooting from the hip. So, if you're not familiar with some of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about, and I'm going to be getting into more specific Ukraine news after this, but I want to talk about this because this is something that's been very much so heating up online over the last couple of days, specifically really the last 12 to 24 hours. There's been a lot of stuff going on. And I want to talk about the fact that we are currently in a propaganda war. Now, we've been in a propaganda war. You can make the argument we're always in a propaganda war. There's always people trying to propagandize all the time, and that's true. That's correct. But specifically, I want to talk about Russia and their involvement in the propaganda war. And I want to go back into the 2016 election here a little bit. Now, please bear with me. 2016, a lot of people claimed that Russia interfered with the election. That turned out to be true. Now, again, did they switch voting machines? No, I don't think so. But what they did is they had troll farms to sow discord in American social media. And that's something that Russia, Russian government officials, and obviously people from all over the world as well, have been doing for a long time, especially since 2016. But that idea gained prominence in 2016. Now, I've been on the internet for a while. I remember when Twitter didn't even exist, right? So it's like watching Twitter go from infancy to where it is now. It's very obvious that there are bots all over the place online. Not only are there bots, but there are also bad actors, people that will purposefully say things that make you mad, and to distract you from more important things. And so when I say this, and why I'm saying this, is because I think that we are in a propaganda war that has reached a boiling point, given the fact that Russia has invaded Ukraine with a full-scale invasion. They are bombing apartment complexes. They are massacring civilians, and it's a huge deal. And again, Ukraine is a country. Ukraine, and all countries have problems, right? A lot of people are pointing, especially one of the biggest problems that people want to point to is the Azov Battalion in the Ukraine National Guard. I believe yesterday the Ukraine National Guard posted a video of Azov Battalion soldiers greasing their bullets with pork fat to shoot Muslim Russian soldiers. And this post came from the Ukraine National Guard Twitter account. Now, again, I couldn't make this a PowerPoint presentation and have all the things on the screen, but I'm just shooting from the hip here. Please bear with me. So, now, obviously, that's horrible. Ukraine should not be. They should be doing their best right now to pretend that the Azov Battalion does not exist. Because, again, one of the things that Putin has said when invading Ukraine was that he wants to denazify Ukraine. Now, we know from other statistics and studies that Russia has a much, much higher anti-Semitism problem than Ukraine overall throughout the population and throughout the military. We can make very clear parallels between Putin and Hitler right now as well. So, but again, Putin, my apologies, said, right, he said that he wanted to denazify Ukraine. Right, now again, the Azov Battalion is horrible. The Azov Battalion has done terrible things, especially since the ongoing conflicts, and especially since 2014. The Azov Battalion is horrible. They have a history of training right-wing paramilitary wannabes from all over the world in the conflicts going on at the eastern parts of Ukraine. A lot of American fascists have gone to Ukraine and have been taught weapons training and combat training by the Azov Battalion. They are a horrible organization and they need to be condemned. But again, I need to be very clear, every single military in the world has neo-Nazis in it. Every single one. And Russia is no exception. Russia also has a significant neo-Nazi problem in their military and just in their population. Now, again, we do in the United States as well. We do all across the world. So my thing is, okay, I disagree with the Taliban. I think the Taliban is horrible. I think the Taliban is a horrible organization. That said, the Taliban did try to retake their own government once the American occupiers left. And that's something that, I can't necessarily find it in myself to criticize them all the way. Now, it's horrible that the Taliban is going to be doing a repressive regime of the people in Afghanistan, especially that don't want to live under that kind of law, and they should be allowed to leave. And, and there's a huge problem. But again, we're talking about imperialist aggressors and invaders being fended off by the people that are from that location. Yes, Ukraine has problems. Yes, Ukraine has racists. Yes, Ukraine has neo-Nazis. And yes, they have been integrated into the military. That is a problem, but that does not change the fact that Ukraine is defending itself from an imperial aggressor. And that's, in my opinion, the problem here. There's been a lot. We are, again, in the middle of a propaganda war. Not everyone, obviously, in this chat room listening to this and online is in Ukraine, is in Eastern Europe or Russia, or, anywhere in that region. A lot of people reading the news here are from all across the world. And again, Russia is not just a military superpower. They are a superpower when it comes to disinformation. Again, Putin is a former KGB agent. He is very informed in the art of deception, and a propaganda war is something we need to pay attention to. So, yes, there are problems in Ukraine. None of them are relevant at this moment. And in my opinion, yes, we can talk about the problems in Ukraine. There have been reports that at the border of Ukraine and Poland, Poland is offering Ukrainian civilians the ability to enter the country without identification because of the refugees, essentially. And there have been reports of Poland denying entry from black Ukrainians, and that is a problem. Racism is a problem, but that does not change the fact that currently Ukraine is under significant bombardment by an imperial superpower, right? And so I want to be talking about this because it recently came out that the Snake Island battalion or whatever, like the group that was on Snake Island that told the Russian warship to go fuck itself, they actually did not end up being killed by the warship. The warship actually did end up capturing them, and they became prisoners of war. Now, it's great that they're not dead. That's wonderful. But a lot of people are using this opportunity to talk about how the fact that, things change. Like, there's details that we don't have all the info on that are coming out and that change things. Right now, again, we are in a war scenario here, especially when wars happen. There's a lot of very, 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 problematic things that come out. There's very little details, and that's on purpose. And again, if you think that the Russian, government is not going to take advantage of the fog of war and the moment where the news is breaking new items every 15 seconds, you are fooling yourself. And that's why I need everyone really to really think about what the things here are more important. Yes, it is, like, we can be mad at multiple things. I hate the fact that Afghanistan is currently, being controlled by a far-right repressive regime. That said, obviously the United States was an imperial aggressor, and I condemn the United States more than I would condemn the Taliban in that instance. In the same way that I hate the fact that Ukraine's National Guard has, brought about neo-Nazis into their ranks. I hate that. But also, you know what I hate more? Imperial superpowers. And so I want to just, be very clear, covering the Ukraine, invasion, I want to be just very honest with you. I'm not going to be focusing on the bad parts of Ukraine at this moment in time. I'm just not. I know there's a lot of YouTubers that are making it that's their angle, is they're going to focus on all the problems of Ukraine. Okay. All right. That's great. And people need to know what's going on with Ukraine, and, that information should be there. But also, I think, people really need to realize what the motives behind that is. Right now, again, if we're talking about Ukraine from 2014 or just even earlier up until now, that's a different story than when Russia is literally trying to bomb the capital city. It's, in my opinion, there's a lot of problems, right? But at the end of the day, Ukrainian civilians defending themselves against an imperial aggressor, in my opinion, I'm on their side. Now, you can say that I'm picking a side, I'm going on a team, that's fine. I will always pick civilians, defending themselves against aggressors, whether that be people defending themselves against police in the United States. I was entirely 100% in support of people defending themselves by any means necessary in 2020. I consider myself, I want to be a positive propagandist for causes that I agree with. Now, again, does that mean I'm going to ignore every negative thing? No. And I think that we need to talk about negative things. But I also think we need to talk about them in context of the broader movement. I don't care if an anti-fascist, shoved a car door into someone on accident. I don't care about that. I'm not going to pretend that destroys all of the anti-fascist movements in the world, like someone like Ben Burgess, maybe. Are there problems in anti-fascist movements? Absolutely, there are problems. But when there is a situation like with the murder of George Floyd and there's giant protests and an uprising all across the country and even the world, I'm not going to be focusing on the problems with anti-fascist activists at that time. In the same way that I don't personally want to focus on the problems of Ukraine more often than, than the fact that there's an imperial aggressor trying to murder civilians. And so I wanted to talk about this a little bit because, yes, Ukraine has a lot of problems, and they shouldn't be ignored. But also, in my opinion, Russia trying to invade another sovereign country is a bigger problem than the fact that there are Ukrainian neo-Nazis that exist. There are neo-Nazis in every military. During the 2020 uprising in the United States of America, National Guardsmen of the United States that took all of their patches off and identification off illegally were patrolling the streets of Washington, D.C. with live guns, and they were later identified. Several of them were open and proud neo-Nazis. They were not only in the National Guard, but they were literally posting on their phones as they were patrolling the streets of Washington, D.C. with guns aimed at black protesters. They were posting about how, they're going to kill the blacks and stuff, right? So again, that is a huge problem. That is a huge problem, right? There are neo-Nazis in every military ever, right? And so there are neo-Nazis in the Russian military, in the Russian government, etc. And right now, again, the fact that especially Putin's stated goal is that he wants to de-Nazify Ukraine, that makes me even less likely to talk about the Azov battalion. While they are a problem, the fact that Putin is trying to make it seem like they are a giant, way more, like they control everything all the time, I don't want to play into that narrative. So I want to be very clear with my position on this kind of stuff. Now, yes, it's important to note these kinds of things, and I want to note these kinds of things, and the context that I figure is appropriate. But a lot of people are taking this moment to now they're taking the moment to talk about all the problems with Ukraine. Again, Ukraine has problems. Every country has problems. The world has problems. But in my opinion, I would rather focus on the damage to civilians that this war is causing. Later in the program, I'm going to be talking about how the Russian stock market and the ruble has been ultimately, it's been basically shredded into nothing. And that's going to have the effect of hurting civilians. Is Putin going to be personally, is he no longer going to be able to eat, his daily recommended amount of calories a day? Is he not going to be able to sit on his gold toilet? Putin's going to be fine. Let's be honest, right? He is rich enough. He's going to be fine. His standard of living is not going to change. The oligarchs in Russia, their standards of living are not going to change. Let's be real. Now, are they going to become the richest people in the world ever? Like they wanted to be in previously? Probably not now. But the thing here is the sanctions are going to be hurting a lot of Russian civilians, and that is a problem as well that we need to talk about. And I'm more concerned with people that are being abused by an authoritarian government than I am, minor issues with those people. I'm just being honest with you. So I just wanted to talk about that. We are in a propaganda war at this moment. People, I think, really, they should try to educate themselves on everything and as much as they can. That's good. And I want people to be educated on everything. But also, please be very cautious about what your sources are and what kind of info you're receiving. Now, I wanted to be very clear with my biases. I am in favor of Ukraine defending its sovereignty. In this instance, that's my position. And so I want to put everything within that lens of analysis. I mean, you can make the argument that, oh, just let Russia take over Ukraine, less people would die. Maybe. Okay, maybe. But can we confirm that? I don't know. Also, I'm an anti-imperialist. I don't like imperialism. I don't like the idea that another country can just waltz in with tanks, murder your family, and say you are now my citizen. I don't agree with that. So in the same way that I protest against police in this country, which I view police as an occupying force in this country, I think the United States of America is currently being occupied by Nazis, and I refer to Nazis as police. I believe they're interchangeable. So I will always fight against imperialism, aggression, and oppression. And yes, there are problems with Ukraine, and they need to be discussed. But I don't think focusing on all the problems with Ukraine right now is the best thing to do, given the fact that, there's just so much going on. So I just wanted to be very clear with my biases. Yes, I'm aware of the problems in Ukraine, their government, their military. I am very, very aware of these problems, and they are very, very important. And I think that we should be sending resources to the civilians that need to escape. I think, given the scandals going on with, black people in Ukraine, they need a lot of support because they aren't getting as much institutional support from the government of Ukraine or Poland or other things. And they need even more help getting to safety as well. And so that stuff is very important, and we can realize how important that stuff is while also realizing that Ukraine has a right to defend itself. And that is the most important aspect of what's going on, in my opinion, at this moment. And so, again, I am in very, very much so at this moment. I am in support of Ukraine. You need to understand that a lot of the Ukrainian criticism is probably disinformation campaigns being waged by Russia. That doesn't mean that they're all completely untrue. The most, pervasive propaganda is stuff that has the kernel of truth. Like, yes, the Azov battalion exists. So when Putin says he wants to denazify Ukraine, he's saying that because, the Azov battalion, which is like 1% of the National Guard, exists. So therefore, let's pretend it's 100%, and we'll only talk about the Azov battalion. That's their strategy. Like, does that mean the Azov battalion doesn't exist? No, it does exist. Does that mean they're good? No, they're bad. But that they're also not indicative of the Ukrainian people as a whole. And we need to understand that Russia and pro-Russian and pro-imperialist forces are going to be trying to wage a propaganda war against us. And that's my opinion. So I just want to be very clear. A lot of people have told me a lot of things about my coverage of Ukraine, and I just want to be more clear with my position on this. So, again, solidarity and support with the Ukrainian people defending themselves. I believe everyone has a right to defend themselves against imperial aggressors. I believe self-defense is a very important thing. I'm cold, so I'm putting my hoodie on my knees, and I'm realizing that that's I gotta be careful here because I'm on camera. Yeah, so. If Falcon wants to come on and have a conversation, that's fine, Mila. Okay, so what are y'all arguing about? People are already arguing in the chat. People are already yelling at each other. Okay. People are already mad. I got a super chat. Super chat. Vasily Vladivostok. $20. Thank you. Thank you. I have seen a lot of news of anarchists in Ukraine fighting against Russians. I think that's cool. Yeah, I mean, also, again, just to be very clear, I'm against borders. I think countries are stupid. I think the whole concept of a country is very stupid. That said, I'll take a country over, an empire, or, over a fucking repressive monarchy, which like Putin is trying to turn Russia into like a monarchy, and it's not good. Yeah, Poland is very problematic, and I say this as a ski. My ancestors, some of my ancestors come from Poland, so I am a ski, folks. For those of you that don't know, I am in fact a ski, and Poland has a lot of problems. I mean, Europe has a lot of problems. This whole society that we got going on has a lot of problems. Yeah, I don't quite know. Missiles hitting radioactive waste disposal sites. Can you send me that on Twitter? Yeah, a lot of people say they're agreeing, but I'm like, I don't remember what they're agreeing with because I didn't read the chat as I was speaking. This exact mentality is the one I have for not constantly trashing Democrats while you're up against. I agree, Catherine. I agree. But that's why, like, again, I will take my time to, like, shit on Democrats because I think it's important to understand, like, for people to be educated on all the problems. But that is why I will focus significantly more on fascism and Trumpism and Republicans. Like I talk about Republicans, like, on a 5-to-1 basis as I do to Democrats for that reason. Because, again, if I have a show and I'm going to do like an hour to 2 hours of a show every day, I have the editorial decision-making ability to say, like, what do I want to focus on, right? Do I want to focus on Democrats or do I want to focus on Republicans and fascists, Just catching up on the chat, then we'll get into the show. Yes, Bodan, there will be a Doom stream. It's already scheduled on my channel page, but I will post it in the chat here. That's going to be the page for the Doom stream coming up at 1 p.m. Eastern, which is in 2 hours and 20 minutes. I agree, Bodan. That's why I was talking about propaganda. But you came in at the very end, so. But yeah, feel free to rewind for the whole take. If you're not out there filling the void promoting Ukraine, the tankies will fill it with their lies and poison. The reaction from, like, the, quote, anti-imperialist left, or, like, the gray zone tier, like, those people, honestly it's been demented. And I it's an unexpected level of dementia going on, like from the Jackson Hinkles, like that one video you made with Hinkle saying, I never said that they weren't going to, like, the fact that he is able to do that, right? Like, he just does that. He just lies. Like, it's like if I were to say, I've never made a video about Ukraine. I don't know what you're talking about. I never made a video about Ukraine. I don't even know what Ukraine is. The Ukraine, what's the difference? I don't know. Where's the Ukraine? I have no idea. Never heard of it. Like, imagine, like, if I just said that with complete sincerity, right? Like, how is that even possible? Like, I don't know how people are able to do that, to be honest. Promoting Ukraine, I will never. I totally understand your position, Falcon. I agree. Like, flags are stupid. I agree. But I think the United States is a bad country. I think that Russia is a bad country, and I think that Ukraine could possibly, it's a bad country. All countries are bad, right? But we can put them on a list in, like, context of, like, I'm not going to be shitting on Ukraine as much as I might have otherwise right now in this moment. That's just my opinion, though. Good Russian people take blame for Putin. Good American people take blame for Trump. It's the nature of our world and it sucks. It is very horrible. I agree. I'm down to set up a show with Falcon. If yeah, I mean, I don't know about right now because I got a couple other things. But yes, we can do that. I don't know. I don't agree with equivocation personally. But that's just me. We're allowed to have our different opinions. I think that that's a good thing. All right. I find it to be pretty easy for me to say that Ukrainian civilians defending themselves against tanks and bombs from a world superpower, even though some of them are neo-Nazis. But I mean, there's like, let's be real though, like there's more neo-Nazis in the Russian military. Like the Russian military has a higher percentage of neo-Nazis and then also more members of the military, right? So it's like both numbers in that instance are higher. So, but anyway, I'm going to talk about this real quick because Ukraine is not the only thing going on in the world. And there's a lot of other problems still going on that apply to Ukraine, to Russia, and to the United States. So, recently, there was a change in how levels of coronavirus are traced and reported in this country being the United States of America. They have changed the way that reporting is done. And I think that this is something that's very important to talk about. So the CDC released this big blueprint with their reworking of the framework here. And I want to talk about this graph here because this basically sums up what we're dealing with the CDC in the United States. So, I mean, very clearly, if you look at this, so low, right, moderate, substantial, and then now the low and the new rules, the new thresholds, is now twice as much as substantial in the old threshold. So recently the CDC in this country, the Centers for Disease Control of the United States of America, said that 70% of Americans are, quote, healthy enough to take off their mask. What, like the CDC at this point is, and I've been saying this, it's been very clear since December, but I have been saying this since probably, May of 2020. But what we are living through in this country and in the world with this pandemic is a purposeful genocide. All the countries in the world basically decided that they don't give a fuck about the most vulnerable populations in this country. Now, again, I want to go back to the 70% of Americans are healthy enough to take a break from wearing masks. How does that make any sense? And you do that at the same time where you change the metrics. Now, again, how many Americans are going to be reading a PowerPoint presentation on cdc.gov versus how many Americans are going to see the map on CNN or MSNBC, right? And now they're using the updated guidelines, but are they going to tell everyone, remind them, over and over that they updated the thresholds. No, they're not going to do that. And so, now again, I agree with the idea that we need more gradients. The virus in this country is so out of control that the entire map being red doesn't give us as much information as we would like it. So I understand why they would want to reorganize things. My thing would be to add higher ranks than substantial. That would be my solution. To add more colors, to add more levels of more gradients. There's no reason to make low double what the old high was. It's strange and it's weird. And again, let's go back to the healthy enough thing. Your health is irrelevant on whether or not you will catch coronavirus. Your health is relevant on how coronavirus treats your body. But like the CDC is basically saying, if you're healthy, you should get infected and just roll the dice. I mean, if you're healthy, you'll probably be fine, right? And again, the CDC is ignoring and covering up, frankly, the existence of long COVID, which affects about 1 in 5 COVID-19 patients, right? Healthy or not, and who determines what healthy even is? 88% of Americans in this country have metabolic syndrome, where their metabolism is slower than it should be because of the garbage that they eat. 88% of Americans have a slow metabolism. They are unhealthy by that metric. Their body processes things and fights things slower than it should, meaning a virus will have a higher likelihood of taking hold in your body. So, by that metric, like, who determines healthy? And also, do most Americans know what healthy means? Do most Americans even know if they are healthy? A lot of people might think that they're healthy and they're not. A lot of people might not think they're healthy and they might be healthier than other people, right? So again, the vague language here is basically telling immunocompromised people, go fuck yourself, I hope you die. That's what the CDC has said. To the immunocompromised populations, fuck off and die, love the CDC. So, this is a problem. So, we need to be talking about how, like, we're fucked. Capitalism has fucked us beyond recognition. Like, have y'all ever seen a Serbian film? Yeah, that's capitalism right there, motherfucker. And we're the ones getting fucked. So, I just wanted to talk about that, too. And again, COVID is not just an American problem. It's all across the world. And it is very problematic all across the world, especially in Europe, especially in the United States, all over the world, in the global south, which doesn't even have access to vaccines in most of these countries. What are we doing? As a species, what are we doing? We are bombing each other. We are murdering each other. We are poisoning each other. We are sending viruses to each other for no reason. There's no reason for any of this. And it's sickening. Folks, hopefully everyone enjoys the program today. I haven't gotten laid in a while. Thanks, America. Thanks for fucking me. Now, I want to be very clear, folks. America is not fucking us in the good dick way. We lost our good dick privileges in February of 2020. That's when this country officially gave up its good dick privileges. We are no longer getting fucked in the good dick way. It's not happening. Yeah, I can't stand religious nutbags. Like, oh, God made us in his image. Oh, really? Oh, really? Well, then God must be a dumb fuck motherfucker. If God made us like this, Like, we must be, like, one of the practice experiments. Like, we must be, like, one of the learning experiences. Like, this is like a 15-year-old working a McDonald's tier of, like, God's creation. Like, we are not... God is not doing a great job. So... I think the most important metric, albeit a lagging indicator, is hospital capacity. If there's a glut of cases but it's not overwhelming hospitals, how big of a concern is number of new cases? Now, again, I am concerned with hospital capacity, but I'm going to tell you this right now for maybe newer viewers that don't know this or people that maybe don't know this in this level of depth. I am a hypochondriac. I am scared to death of pain, injury, disease, all that stuff. I'm going to tell you all a little story. Yesterday, I was walking around outside. It is icy. There's a lot of snow where I'm at. And it's icy, and I slipped, and I fell, and I hurt my knee on the ice, because I'm a child. And I freaked the fuck out because, I hurt myself, and, I'm still having problems. I'm still limping. I still got a limp. So I'm a hypochondriac. I'm hyper concerned with my own personal health and safety. And so for me, the idea of getting long COVID, even though it's a 20% chance, I mean, let's be honest, right? Let's be honest. I'm fucking trans. Like, that's like a 0.6% chance. Like, I drew the fucking short stick on this fucking one, right? So if I can fucking get a 0.6% chance that my life is a living hell, 20% about long COVID, I'm not fucking with 20% odds. Like, I'm just telling you, I've got pretty horrible luck when it comes to this kind of stuff, right? So for me, right, like the idea of getting COVID is like, hey, you might get long COVID. We don't really know. And then if you do, they're going to say, fuck you, deal with it. I don't want to live with brain fog for the rest of my fucking life. I don't want to live with like COVID toes or like not being able to smell a candle for the rest of my life. Fuck that shit. So I'm very concerned with hospital capacity. I'm very concerned with society getting this disease and all that stuff. But I'm also like hyper concerned with my own safety and well-being in regards to this virus. And so for me, like 20% chance of getting it, 20% chance of getting long COVID, that's a little too high for me. If I can score a 0.6% chance of being a fucking fucked up motherfucking freak, my odds are not great. So that is why I don't fuck around with COVID, for that reason. So, yeah, but I slipped on ice yesterday. And it was I was walking down a hill that was icy. And so I slipped onto my knee and then onto my butt, and then I slid down the hill. That was very fun. But like I hurt my knee. So, I hurt my knee, but the sliding was fun, and that was great. I live in Japan, and we don't have a mask mandate. 99% just wear it in public as a courtesy and no problems or freakouts. In the same way that I wear a shirt as a courtesy. Not everyone wants to see my fucking gigantic mommy milkers, right? I'm trying to just cover these fuckers up as a courtesy. Real on N. So you got COVID and you have like long COVID symptoms? Is that what you're saying? Because yeah, fuck that. Fuck that. Like, fuck that. Like, that sucks for you. But I have the privilege of my job is me staying inside and hiding from the world. So fuck that. Right? It's scary to me. It's horrifying. It's horrifying. Like, the fact that I have to put up with being trans in this country in the year 2022, that's already rough enough. I don't need long COVID. I don't need COVID. I don't need to fall on ice. I don't need any of this stuff. It comes and goes. Everyone's different. Nope. Not happening to me. Not happening to me. I'm going to get like 28,000 booster shots and I'm going to live on fucking like a submarine, like in the fucking goddamn like Marianas Trench or whatever. I'm living down there. You know, like in Dragon Ball when they're swimming through the ocean, like they're just swimming, and then they find that cave, and then the Red Ribbon Army follows them into the cave, and there's like a castle in the cave under the ocean. That's going to be where I'm hanging out. And guess what? No Red Ribbon Army in the real world, so I'm hanging out in that cave. I'm gonna see some skeletons, and no one's gonna hurt me. There's no viruses coming to get me. I'm gonna be good to go. Anyway, so I got some news here. We got a show going on. Trying to do my best to put on a program today. The dick getting smaller symptom is not worth it. I'm very familiar with dicks getting smaller. I've been on estrogen for 5 years. That being said, let's continue with the news. So, real quick, John, in the chat, you said you're from Japan. Is that correct? Now, I ask this to a lot of people that come into my chat when they say that they're in Japan. I am a huge fan of Japanese PlayStation games, the original PlayStation 1. If you want to reach out to me, you know, I know that Japan has a lot of cool retro game stores. I'm just throwing this out there, you know? Like, if you wouldn't mind being, like, you know, someone that would buy games for me and then I'll pay you to, you know, buy them and ship them over, that would be cool. Because, like, you know, I'm just throwing this out there. I'm just, it's a retweet. It's an opinion of somebody. I'm just presenting an option. You know, eBay importing gets pricey. I'm just saying, it gets pricey to import games online. I'm just throwing that out there. So, if, you know, feel free to reach out. My email, I'm going to give you my email. I'm just throwing this out here, you know, don't mind me. Just taking advantage. You know, because I know that Japan has a lot of cool retro stores. You know, I'm very jealous. We don't really have those here anymore. So, I'm just saying. All right. Now let's get into the real economy. So, the stock market, currency exchanges are being affected by the gigantic amount of sanctions that the West has imposed on the Russian economy. The Russian stock market fell approximately 50% last week, and now, you know, again, markets are opening on Monday, and the ruble has fallen a significant amount of percent. Some numbers I'm seeing 30, 40, some say 50%. You know, it's hard to tell because, again, the markets are fluid. And so I want to read this from the AP. Ordinary Russians face the prospect of higher prices and crimped foreign travel as Western sanctions over the invasion of Ukraine sent the ruble plummeting, leading uneasy people to line up at banks and ATMs on Monday in a country that has seen more than one currency disaster in the post-Soviet era. The Russian currency plunged about 30% against the US dollar after Western nations announced moves to block some Russian banks from the SWIFT international payment system and to restrict Russia's use of its massive foreign currency reserves. The exchange rate later recovered ground after SWIFT action by Russia's central bank. But the economic squeeze got tighter when the U.S. announced more sanctions later Monday to immobilize any assets of the Russian central bank in the United States or held by Americans. The Biden administration estimated that the move could impact hundreds of billions of dollars of Russian funding. Biden administration officials said Germany, France, the UK, Italy, Japan, European Union, and others. So, Germany, France, the UK, and the European Union. Well, I guess the UK is technically not in the EU anymore. But I'm glad that Germany, as well as the European Union, is doing something. That's great. Is targeting the Russia central bank. Tyler Kustra, an assistant professor of politics and international relations at the University of Nottingham, said he couldn't recall a similar example from the past of an economy brought to its knees by global sanctions. I'm just saying, there have been world wars that have been fought because of economic fallouts from other world wars. I'm just throwing this out there, folks. This is the West causing a currency crisis for Russia. Russians wary that sanctions would deal a crippling blow to the economy have been flocking to banks and ATMs for days, with reports of social media of long lines and machines running out. People in some Central European countries also rushed to pull money from subsidiaries of Russia's state-owned Sberbank. After it was hit with international sanctions. Moscow's Department of Public Transport warned city residents over the weekend that they might experience problems with using Apple Pay, Google Pay, and Samsung Pay to pay fares for VTB, one of Russian banks facing sanctions handling card payments in Moscow's metro buses. And, so there you go. You can read the rest of this, but I'm going to riff on it. Folks, so this is a problem. Now again, this is a scenario, in my opinion, where I am highly concerned. And I think that there is no good outcome of anything. There's no fucking good outcome anywhere for any of this at all. Now, a lot of people are suggesting to the West to do nothing as Russia invades Ukraine because, Russian civilians don't deserve to be hurt because Putin is a psychopath who wants to take over another country. Now, I agree with the idea that Russian civilians do not deserve to be hurt because their leader is a psychopath, in the same way that when Trump drone striked innocent children, when Biden drone striked innocent children, I don't want to deal with the fact that, what if I couldn't use my Cash App because Biden drone striked 7 kids in Afghanistan after ending the war, quote unquote, right? So I understand that we are in a position, we being just society, humanity, like the globe, the earth, right, is in a position where there is a no-win scenario, right? There is no way to sanction a country and for that country's leaders to go, they're sanctioning me, so what I'm going to do is make sure my citizens can thrive. That's not going to happen. Putin isn't going to say, all right, I'm going to cut my pay. I'm going to personally make sure that all the citizens of Russia are good to go. The oligarchs of Russia aren't going to be like, oh, fuck, we're getting sanctioned. Well, I'm going to be fine. I'm still going to sit on my golden toilet, so I'm just going to make sure that the Russian civilians are going to be good. They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that, right? Now, does that mean that the West shouldn't impose sanctions? Again, should the West do nothing? I don't know. This is a very difficult scenario. I'm not here to tell you what they should or shouldn't do. I am not nearly educated enough on this to be saying that the West should do this and Russia should do that. Like, there's a lot of coulda, woulda, shoulda, but also we have to understand the people are getting fleeced no matter what. Right? Putin's going to be fine. Putin's going to sit on his golden toilet. He's going to eat the most, best food he likes. He's going to be able to play any video games he wants. He's going to be able to, buy any $1 million paintings he wants. He's going to be able to do whatever the fuck he wants. He doesn't have to worry about money. The people that are living in his tyrannical government, in the country that he is occupying, they're going to get fucked. And again, the people of Ukraine are getting fucked. And this is going to probably cause a global, financial disaster all across the world. And again, it goes to say, what should the West do? Should they go to war with Russia? 2 nuclear powers going at each other? One, Putin has already threatened nuclear weapons, nuclear strikes against multiple countries, Finland, Sweden, Ukraine, the West in general. I don't know. Now, again, the goal of sanctions, right, is to make the oligarchs punished. They should be punished. Obviously, they should be punished. They are murdering innocent civilians in an offensive and imperialistic war. And that's bad. But I am very skeptical that the oligarchs or Putin are going to be facing any actual issues here. I feel like what they're going to do is they're going to try their best to make up for the losses by taking it out of the population of Russia. It's just like, this is just horrible. Now, again, it's sensationalist to say, oh, the ruble drops 30%. It's crazy to watch. It's crazy to watch all of this happening. And, you know, in my opinion, the better solutions would be for the West to get off of oil. If the West didn't need oil, what's Russia going to do? That's one of the ways that Russia makes a lot of money is oil, right? So if the West and the United States and so forth just stopped being dependent on oil, if we like put trillions of dollars into investing in green energy infrastructure and cutting off our reliance on energy, that would move the needle without necessarily hurting people directly. You know, I don't know, and this is why, again, borders are stupid. Like, leaders are stupid, right? Like the idea that Putin, a bald freak, like, and again, I don't mean to be rude to bald people, but you know, Putin's bald. I take the position where I like to mock world leaders for things that they are, you know, potentially not too happy with, because I think it's funny. But maybe I shouldn't say that, and I accept that. But either way, he's a little bitch boy, beta male freak. He's a loser. Let's be honest here. Like, Zelensky, who has his own share of problems, absolutely, has basically overnight become everything Putin has tried his entire life to project. Putin has always tried to have people, he's tried to lie to people to convince them that he's like a strong alpha male. Zelensky has done that literally in the span of a couple hours after the invasion started. And I'm sure that makes Putin very upset. But the idea that there's even such a thing as a strong man leader, huh? Like, you're telling me a leader can just, like, why is a military going to invade a sovereign nation because the leader told them to? Huh? Like, is this the best society we can organize? Where it's like, oh, I'm going to go murder an orphanage because the dear leader told me to? That's religious. Like, think about it. Like, worshiping politicians, worshiping leaders is religious. It is the same level of religiosity that is found in, like, the church. It's just, you know, in a slightly different format. I don't know what the best solutions here are. Like, I don't know if there is a good solution. But what I can tell you is that the West, we need to be focusing on energy, you know, renewable energy. Again, climate change is coming. The climate crisis is going to destroy the planet. People are fighting over these small patches of land. Meanwhile, this land won't even exist in 60 years from now. By the time, like, I'm Vladimir Putin's age, let's be honest, right? Like, a lot of these countries that we're, like, bombing and killing people for, they're going to have significantly less landmass, right? So, this is something, like, I don't know, like, and the fallout from this is going to be, it's going to be crazy. Russian civilians do not deserve to be hurt because their leader is a fucking psychopath. That said, should the West just do nothing? Sanctions will hurt civilians. But so does war. Like, again, this is a very, very difficult thing. And that's why I don't want to, you know, the only thing I will tell you that the West and the United States specifically needs to get their shit together on is renewable energy, green energy, technology. That is, in my opinion, the most important thing, and it's not going to hurt any civilians indirectly or directly. As far as sanctions go, I support punishing Putin for doing this. I am not an expert on how to do that without hurting civilians of Russia, if that's even possible. Again, I don't think it is possible to inflict any pain on Putin without Putin deflecting that pain onto his, you know, oppressed peoples. The best case scenario I can think of is the people see, oh shit, Putin's fucking us up here. Let's overthrow this bitch ass. Okay. That's a good scenario if Russia revolts again against their new czar. I mean, the Russian people revolted against the czar before. They overthrew an emperor before. So why can't they do it again? I don't know. All I know is that Putin has nuclear bombs. So that's all I know. But it's scary. This whole thing is scary. If you look into the history of sanctions, that is exactly the purpose, for the people of the country to rise up and revolt. I agree. I agree. That should happen. Like, that's the ideal scenario. But again, how many people will die in a Russian revolution against a guy who has nuclear bombs? Did Nick 2 have nuclear bombs when he was revolted against in the early 20th century? No, right? Putin has fucking nukes. It's scary. We are living through a very scary era. And again, I'm just being honest with you. I am not educated enough to tell you what's going to happen. You know, what I can tell you is that it's not going to be good for anyone. It's not going to be good for anyone. And again, Russian civilians don't deserve it, but what else is there to do? I don't know. And again, if people have recommendations, if people have literature to send me, I would love to hear it. But it's going to get bad. The ruble dropping 30 to 40% overnight. That's not good. It's not good. I don't know, man. Abolish fucking borders. I don't want to abolish fucking, so I'm going to say abolish borders, comma, fuck, exclamation point. I'm going to put that on a t-shirt. That's going to go on a t-shirt. Yeah, let's look at the crypto market. Just out of curiosity. Bitcoin is back to 41,000. Damn. Solana is $95. Y'all know I'm a Solana fan. Litecoin, 109. Basic attention token, shout outs to the Brave browser, 71 cents. That's true, yeah. Putin is technically trying to abolish borders, but he's doing it in the bad way. Oligarchs may push Putin to stop the war as they lose money. Such people, yes, they do have power. But, like, I'm not convinced that they're going to be able to do that successfully. I hope. I hope. I want the war to stop. I want all war to stop. It needs to. But I'm scared and I'm skeptical, you know? Putin did a rug pull on the ruble coin. It's so true. That is so true. Cardano, what's Cardano at? Cardano sucks. 94 cents. I don't know. You know, I've been in the crypto space for a while. I still don't really know what Cardano is supposed to do. Like, what's the difference between Cardano and fucking Solana? I mean, I'm huge into Solana. But anyway, whatever. Cryptocurrency. It's all gonna blow up in a week from now anyway, so who cares? I'm sorry, I'm looking at my crypto stuff, and now I'm like making trades. I'm making trades. Making some trades. The oligarchs' money are in places like South Dakota? It's possible. If you're arrested for protesting, it absolutely stays on your permanent record, for sure. When is Max Coin? Someday. Max Coin, Max Coin. All right, folks. Got a show going on. There have been a lot of really bad takes in response to Russia and Vladimir Putin's illegal, offensive, imperialistic invasion of a sovereign country, of Ukraine. There have been a lot of really, really bad takes in response to this. But I present you the worst take you've ever seen. Here's Lauren Boebert at CPAC.
So I pray for Ukraine, and I wish them the best.
Hold up. Audio.
Great president. So I pray for Ukraine, and I wish them the best. They have a great president right now who's really said clearly, live free or die. He said, I don't need a ride. Give me ammunition. The fight is right here. But we also have neighbors to the north who need freedom and need to be liberated. And we need that right here at home as well.
And neighbors to our south.
So
Okay. So pro-Ukraine, right? Ukraine defending against imperialism, that's good. But also, the USA should imperialistically invade Canada? There's so much going on here, man. There is so much going on here. Now, again, Donald Trump at CPAC, I covered this yesterday. Donald Trump at CPAC, he is being pro-Putin and pro-Zelensky. Now, again, Zelensky has basically turned into, let's be honest, he's a hero. Whether or not you agree with that, again, Zelensky is a president. All presidents are bastards. He's done horrible things, I'm sure. But at this point in time, he is stepping up to the plate, and he is the hero, one of the heroes of Ukraine. And everyone in the world is seeing his bravery and is respecting him, myself included. He's handling this very well, in my opinion. And so the GOP realizes that. They know that Zelensky is standing up to fascism. So what they're going to try to do is distort that in any way that they can. People's very obvious respect for Zelensky, they're going to try to distort that in any way they can. So again, Lauren Boebert here, again, she is very stupid. She is a very, very dumb fuck motherfucker. So she is pro defending against imperialism and then advocating for imperialism in Canada. She wants to annex Canada. Hey, I'm sure Canada wouldn't mind if we took over Alberta. Let's start there. The USA will take Alberta, and then I'll move to fucking Canada. How's that sound? But again, these people are fucking stupid. A lot of really bad takes going around, but the GOP is a bad take factory. And, my God. Sorry if I'm a little slow this morning, folks. I want to remind everyone I'm doing a Doom stream at 1 p.m. So in 1.5 hours from now, I'm going to be doing a program. Bodan, where you at? Bodan. Ooh. So this is a very interesting article here. The illegal and offensive imperialistic invasion of Ukraine by Vladimir Putin and his military is not going the way that he planned, he being Putin, and we have evidence of this. They planned to take Ukraine in 2 days, but they failed. On the morning of February 26th, one of the main Russian propaganda media outlets, I guess, published an article entitled "The Offensive of Russia and the New World" exactly at 8. That means the publication was planned in advance. This is from Nexta TV on Twitter. Of course, it was quickly deleted, but the internet remembers everything. Propagandists from RIA Novosti were instructed to publish materials about the capture of Ukraine by February 26th. Ukraine has returned to Russia, they write. And then they hint at the Belarusians and revealed the plot of the war. Russia is restoring its historical completeness by gathering Russian people together in its totality of Great Russians, Belarusians, and Little Russians. So Little Russians is, I guess, their offensive term for Ukrainians. And so we can see this website here on the archive. We can go there. Obviously, it is not in English. But what I have here queued up is a translation of the page. So again, you can see that this was published, and I will be reading the translation. I'm not going to probably read the whole thing, but I'm going to read a little bit to you. Again, they expected to take Kyiv and Ukraine very quickly. That did not end up happening, for better or for worse. And so they got their propaganda ready. They had a whole list of propaganda, way to sell this to people, lined up and prepared. And reality did not meet their fan fiction. But let's read this. Emergence of Russia in a new world. A new world is being born in front of our eyes. The military operation of Russia and Ukraine has opened up a new era, notably in 3 dimensions at once, and of course in a 4th dimension, an intra-Russian one. This is the beginning of a new period of ideology, and in the very model of our socio-economic order. I'm sure the economic order of Russia is going well. But we should talk about that separately later on. Again, folks, I really want you to understand that Vladimir Putin is not trying to bring about the USSR. He is trying to bring about the Russian Empire. He wants to be like Nicholas III or some shit, like one of those fucking freak emperor like czars. That's his goal. He wants to create a mythology and a religion based around him. That is fascism. He is a fascist. Anyone who is afraid to call Putin a fascist is a fucking moron. Russia is returning its unity, the tragedy of 1991, the horrible catastrophe of our history. Our history's unnatural contortion have been overcome, yes, with a steep price, yes, through the tragic circumstances of a civil war, again, framing Ukraine in Russia's mind, in Vladimir Putin's mind, I should say, is not its own country. It would be like, it's like the South or like the North or something in those instances, right? It's a civil war of Russia. It is not an offensive imperialistic invasion of another country. No. It's a civil war. Okay. Because right now there are still brothers shooting at each other, separated by allegiance to the Russian and Ukrainian armies. But Ukraine as anti-Russia will no longer exist. Russia is returning it to its historic unity, gathering the Russian world, the Russian nation together, and its entire constituency of great Russians, white Russians, not to be confused with the beverage, and little Russians. If we rejected this, allowed the temporary separation to continue for centuries, then we would not only betray our ancestors, again, bringing in ancestors, classic fascist mythology, ideology 101. Again, he is in the line of the great czars. If Putin gets his way, right, we're just going to skip over the USSR. That part was just a little, a problem. And then the next czar of Russia, it'll go from Nick 2 to Putin to big old Vlad. I guess small because he's very tiny. But cursed by our descendants for allowing the disintegration of Russian land, Vladimir Putin took it upon himself. Again, I need you to understand the way this propaganda works. This is not about NATO expansion. This is not about NATO, motherfuckers. All right? I don't give a fuck if you think NATO is bad. NATO has done a lot of really bad things. That is true. Putin invading Ukraine is not about NATO at all. We need to be very, very clear about that. Without any exaggeration, just to add on to that, Putin has been eyeing this kind of stuff since 1991. He was active in the KGB during the Soviet Union era. He wants a united and very powerful Russian empire. Again, he is not, it's not about, NATO expansion, okay? So fuck around, electing to not leave the solution of the Ukrainian question to future generations, since this need for his decision would have always remained as the main issue for Russia, for two main reasons, in the question of national security. In other words, the creation out of Ukraine of an anti-Russia and an outpost for the West to exert pressure on us. That is only the second most important reason. So Russia propaganda, Putin himself is saying the reunification of the Russian Empire is more important than NATO expansion. So yes, NATO expansion is a problem according to Putin. It is the second problem, the first one being he needs to create the mythology of a Russian Empire. Okay? Let's keep going. The primary reason would have always been the insecurity of separated people, the insecurity of national humiliation. When the Russian home initially lost part of its foundation, Kyiv, and then was forced to accept the existence of two states and not one, but now two nations, so to either reject its history, accepting the crazy versions that only Ukraine is the real Rus, or instead to powerlessly grit our teeth, remembering the times when we lost Ukraine. To return Ukraine, in other words, to turn it back towards Russians, would have, with every decade, become more and more difficult. The reclassification, de-Russification of Russians, and the agitation of little Russians against Russians. Again, I don't know what little Russians is about. It's very strange. And in the case of anchoring a total geopolitical and military control of the West over Ukraine, the return of it to Russia would have been completely impossible. For it, we would have had to fight with NATO. Now this problem no longer exists. Again, they published this with the idea that Kyiv would have been captured and Ukraine would be under Russian control as part of the Russian Federation at this point in time. That was their goal. Russia has returned to Ukraine. This doesn't mean that its sovereignty will be dissolved, but it will be restructured, reorganized, and returned to its natural state as a part of the Russian world. In what borders, in what form will the union with Russia be solidified? Through CSTO, or Eurasian Union, or a union-based government of Russia and Belarus? This will be decided after we put an end to the history of Ukraine as anti-Russia. And here it is, we begin the second dimension of a new era, in the relationship between Russia and the West, and not even Russia, but the Russian world. Okay? Composed of three states, Russia, Belarus, and Ukraine, that will geopolitically act as one united whole. This relationship has entered a new stage. Again, has entered, past tense. And you can read the rest of this. Again, someone translated the whole page here. And then they go into about the West. again, the whole thing with the whole thing with like borders and war, like it has to be the East versus the West, the North versus the South, and all this stupid shit. But again, it's very obvious that one, they thought this war would be over right now. And two, they thought it would have been a lot faster. They thought they would have been a lot easier. And three, they do not value Ukraine as another country. They view Ukraine as like, like it's a civil war. It's like, that's how they view it. They being Putin and his freak show followers. It's just, it's fascism. That's what it is. It's fascism. Maxie! Maxie! My dog is freaking out. My dog has nightmares. But yeah, again, this is fascism. This is imperialism. Full stop. Putin sucks. And he's a bitch. I like your style. Vladimir Putin is the new Hitler, I'm sure. Well, now, a lot of people would disagree with me saying that he's the new Hitler. Yes, is calling him Hitler a very blanket statement? Absolutely. But again, people view Hitler as 1945 Hitler or 1944 Hitler. There's also a 1935 Hitler. There's a 1920 Hitler, right? So when people call Trump Hitler or call Putin Hitler, we're not calling him like 1944 Hitler. Again, people have this really weird view where it's like if you ever call anyone Hitler that you're referring to like Hitler, at the peak of the war. Hitler was around for more than a couple years in the middle of the 1940s, okay? This is like he is, again, like we're in different phases of history. History is also not one-to-one. Putin might do things that Hitler didn't do. Again, Putin has nukes. So, I don't know what to tell you. Either way, Putin is a fascist. That's full stop. He wants to create an ethno-state of all people that are, in his mind, Russians. I don't know what to tell you. My father died last night. Maybe he's the oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, that sucks. Yep. In my opinion, NATO is a good pretext. NATO is a good way to sell it to the international community. But Putin would have invaded Ukraine no matter what. You can tell Putin has had Ukraine on the mind since 1991. I mean, it was written in this article. He's been eyeballing Ukraine since 1991. This is an interest. Okay. Vladimir Putin, United States of America, is culture from Hermana, space period. Andrea, you are Jews, Native America. Thank you. Thank you. If Ukraine was part of NATO, Putin would not have invaded. Okay, I agree with that, but then let me also stipulate, if Ukraine was part of NATO, Putin might not have invaded Ukraine. You might have invaded all of Europe. So, I think that the chessboard would have been different. But at the end of the day, the way I view NATO, now again, NATO has done some really horrible things. They're not great. They're not, okay, so they're not perfect, right? But, we need to have nuance in this conversation. At the end of the day, if Ukraine, the citizens of Ukraine, want to join NATO, and the other nations of NATO want Ukraine to join, Russia has no bearing on that. If Russia wants to join NATO, if the people of Russia and Putin want to join NATO, and the rest of the NATO countries want Russia to join, Russia should be able to join NATO. If Finland and Sweden want to join NATO, and everyone else in NATO doesn't mind if they're there, Finland and Sweden should have the opportunity to join NATO. It's that simple. Now, in my opinion, we shouldn't have a NATO. We shouldn't have Russia. We shouldn't have an EU. We shouldn't have any borders or countries at all. It's dumb, it's silly, and it's stupid. That's my opinion. But here we are. Confession. I really don't understand what NATO is, but it sounds annoying. NATO is the Western Europe kind of equivalent of, like, you know, the USSR expansion and bringing in Soviet states and the Warsaw Pact. They were kind of like, you know, it's a power balance thing. Then the Soviet Union fell apart and the Warsaw Pact was null and void. And then NATO was integrating post-Soviet states. And that's what pissed Putin off. Is that, you know, Russia, in the way Putin views this whole scenario, to my understanding, is that Russia was great. He wants to make Russia great again. Like, Russia was great before those stupid fucking filthy workers took over the fucking country. Before those brain-dead fucking dumbass workers decided to revolt. The stupid-ass bitches. Right? That's Putin's world. Putin wants to go back to the Tsardom. Right? He wants to go back to the empire. Right? So, you know, but that didn't end up happening, right? You know, and then you have World War II. So NATO and the Warsaw Pact and the USSR were like a post-World War II form of order. And then, of course, you know, obviously the USSR fell the fuck apart, and NATO didn't. But, like, Putin's mad. Like, Putin's like, oh, well, NATO should have disbanded. Well, it's not NATO's fault that the USSR fucking fell apart. Now, maybe you can say that, you know, again, we live in a complex world, ripple effect, okay. But the USSR, especially in the late USSR, wasn't looking so good. It was falling the fuck apart. Right? So, that's not NATO's fault. If a state was in the Soviet Union wasn't doing so good. They were getting a raw deal, so they fuck off, say fuck you Moscow. Hello European Union, hello NATO. That's them. It's their sovereignty to decide that. It's an alliance to ensure military protection for countries in case of war. Yes, Bodan, but I'm saying the origins of it is like try to be a balance of power kind of a thing. After World War II is a way to, you know, a way to try to prevent a World War III. At least in its inception. But again, sorry about your luck, Putin. You weren't born in the 17th, 18th, or 19th century. Whoops. Unlucky. But that doesn't mean you're allowed to just try to bomb us back into that time period. Like, if Russia put all of its money and all of its scientific, technological research into developing a time machine, you know, then transport Putin back into, like, fucking, you know, 1917, have him save, like, Nicholas II, and, like, prevent the downfall of Russia, or make a video game where he's allowed to LARP. Like, that's fine. Give him a VR headset, like, you know, get, like, one of those, like, consciousness devices from Black Mirror, like, you know, that episode where the two best friends fuck each other in the video game. Have Putin fuck himself, like, have him masturbate to the idea that he, like, prevented the downfall of Russia in 1917. Fine, whatever. Right? Like, sorry about your luck, bro. The world moves on. It's that simple. Alright, y'all, that is my show for today. Thank you all for watching. I'm going to be doing another show, different show, and it looks like we already have, Johnny Too Late in the chat, as we can see here. I'm doing another, show. Another thing that I upload on my channel is a project that I've been doing called a Doom Day. For those of you that don't know, quick primer, I've been a Doom speedrunner for 9 years. I mean, I've been playing Doom since I was about 3 years old, and I've been speedrunning Doom since I was, I guess, yeah, like 9 years ago. It was a long time ago. A long time ago. But anyway, I haven't been doing so over the last couple of years. And Bodan, the resident Ukrainian, who I believe found my channel from Doom, was yelling at me basically every single day of 2021. Why don't you play Doom? He would come into the chat, call me a prick fuckface, say, fuck you, bitch, play more Doom. And so I was like, okay. So I started a project called A Doom a Day, where I upload one Doom speedrun a day. Sometimes I've been dealing with a lot, so sometimes I forget a day and I upload 2 the next day. It's still. And every month, on the last day of the month, I'm doing a top 10 stream, my favorite runs that I've uploaded over the course of that month, with commentary. And so that's going to be happening in approximately 75 minutes from now. So if you want to open this up in another tab and come join us, solidarity with the Ukrainian viewer, Bodan. Let's go, Bodan! I agree. So, hop in and get in. Hop in and get in. Bodan, did you see that Insane Gazebo left a comment on the Sunderstream video? A Doom a day makes the Putin go away? I agree. Goddamn Pooty Poot. Y'all, remember George W. Bush referred to Vladimir Putin as Pooty Poot. I think we all need to adopt George W. Bush's language here. I think we should all the media, everyone on their shows, everyone when talking to one another should call him Pooty Poot. What's Pooty Poot up to? Pooty Poot's looking at nukes again. Oh, Pooty Poot thinks he owns Ukraine again. Damn, Pooty Poot. Pooty Poot's doing an imperialist offensive invasion again. Fucking Pooty Poot. Gotta put him in timeout. Little Pooty Poot. Anyway, fuck Putin and fuck you. And thank you for watching Above It All. 1,485. Couple episodes from now. Okay, so tomorrow would be 6. And then Wednesday would be 7. Okay. So it looks like Thursday. Folks, I got a guest coming on Thursday. So we're going to celebrate the 1,488th episode of the show on Thursday with a guest. I'll probably announce who the guest is tomorrow, maybe. Yeah, so join us in the Doom stream with Bodan. Let's go, Bodan. I agree. And we got Johnny Too Late FTV already spamming up the chat room. Let's go, Bodan. I agree. Folks, if you like the show, feel free to contribute monies to the program if you'd like to do so. Obviously, if you want to contribute monies, to Ukraine and their people and stuff, do that too. But if you also want to contribute monies to me, there you go. Feel free to do so. And that's the show. That's all I got.
I went in yesterday and there was a television screen and I said, this is genius.
The reason the market is doing what it's doing is people are sitting at home getting the checks from the government, okay? And this fair share is a bullshit concept. It's just a way of attacking wealthy people, just a way of attacking wealthy people.
I went in yesterday and there was a television screen and I said, this is genius.
But the real problem is that our leaders are dumb. Dumb. So dumb.
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Every day it is time for us to agree.
But the real problem is that our leaders are dumb. Dumb. So dumb.
And by the way, you know, I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn turn blonde
But
in
the
sun.
real problem is that our leaders are dumb.
And rub my leg down.
Dumb.
So it was straight, and then watch the hair
So dumb.
come back up again.
So dumb.
They look at
So
it. So I
dumb.
learned about roaches. I
Dumb.
learned about kids jumping on my lap.
So
And I love
dumb.
kids jumping on my lap.
But the
I went in yesterday and there was a television screen, and I said, this is genius.